5 minutes maximum.
Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, total world victory of Hare Krishna. My name is Sitapati Das.
And my name is Danna Devi.
And this is Bhagavad-gita as it is, chapter 2, text 45. Bhagavad-gita, the Song of God, as it is by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, chapter 2, the contents of the Gita summarized, traditional name, Sankhya Yoga. Text 45. Trai-guṇya-viṣayā vedā, nistrai-guṇyo bhavārjuna, nirddvandvo nitya-sattva-stho, niryoga-kṣema ātmavān, traiguṇya.
Pertaining to the three modes of material nature,
viṣayāḥ,
on the subject matter,
vedāḥ,
Vedic literatures,
nistrai-guṇyaḥ,
in a pure state of spiritual existence,
bhava,
be
Arjuna,
Arjuna,
nirdvandvaḥ,
free from the pains of opposites,
nitya-sattva-sthaḥ,
ever remaining sattva goodness,
niryoga-kṣemaḥ,
free from the thought of acquisition and preservation,
ātmavān.
established in the self.
Translation.
The Vedas mainly deal with the subject of three modes of material nature. Rise above those modes, O Arjuna. Be transcendental to all of them. Be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self.
Purport. All material activities involve actions and reactions in the three modes of material nature. They are meant for fruitive results, which cause bondage in the material world. The Vedas deal mostly with fruitive activities to gradually elevate the general public from the field of sense gratification to a position on the transcendental plane. Arjuna, as a student and friend of the Lord, Krishna, is advised to raise himself to the transcendental position of Vedanta philosophy where, in the beginning, there is Brahma jigyasa, or questions on the supreme transcendence. All the living entities who are in the material world are struggling very hard for existence. For them, the Lord, after creation of the material world, gave the Vedic wisdom, advising how to live and get rid of the material entanglement. When the activities for sense gratification, namely the Karma Kanda chapter, are finished, then the chance for spiritual realization is offered in the form of the Upanishads, which are part of different Vedas, as the Bhagavad-gita is part of the fifth Veda, namely the Mahabharata. The Upanishads mark the beginning of transcendental life. You want to take it away?
As long as the material body exists, there are actions and reactions in material modes. One has to learn tolerance in the face of dualities such as happiness and distress, or cold and warmth, and by tolerating such a duality become free from anxieties regarding gain and loss. This transcendental position is achieved in full Krishna consciousness when one is fully dependent on the good will of Krishna.
Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. So this purport, there's no controversy. There's nothing that Prabhupada's arguing against here.
Mm-hmm.
This is pretty much a summary, if you will, of the first sutra from Vedanta Sutra, Atato Brahma Jigyasa, commentary by Baladev Vidyabhushan.
Mm-hmm.
That's where this comes from. That's what this is riffing on. You know, at the beginning of the Bhagavad-gita, it's the very first thing Prabhupada writes in here. Okay? To Srila Baladev Vidyabhushana, who presented so nicely the Govinda Bhashya commentary on Vedanta philosophy. I've had like so many books in my time, but the one that probably I miss the most is the Govinda Bhashya on Vedanta Sutra. I
Mhm.
used to have that. I had a 1-volume Bhagavatam as well and a 1-volume CC. Let's have a look at the book changes. So it's gone from the Vedas mainly deal to the Vedas deal mainly. Whoa.
They deleted something.
The English changes to the word-for-word meanings for this verse all restore the text to what Srila Prabhupada's manuscript says. Why did the early editor make the original changes? My guess is that he was trying to match an earlier translation of the verse, a translation borrowed from elsewhere and later discarded. Yeah, okay. Be interesting to find that. Yep, free from ideas of gain and protection, Prabhupada has. And here it says, free from the thought of acquisition and preservation. Huh. The Vedas mainly deal. Okay. Be transcendental to all of them. Become transcendental to these 3 modes. Rise above these modes, O Arjuna. Be transcendental to all of them. That's kind of cool. Be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self, which has gone to lowercase. Translation. The Vedas mostly deal with the subject of the 3 modes of material nature, and Arjuna is advised herewith to become transcendental to such 3 modes of material nature. He is advised to be free from duality and also from all anxieties of gain and protection. Yeah. The edited version is better. Yeah, it is. It's punchier than Prabhupada's version is talking about, whereas this is like directly talking to Arjuna. Supreme transcendence has gone from capitalized to uncapitalized. Dependent has gone to dependent.
Who is talking to who, though?
Krishna is talking to Arjuna.
But is Srila Prabhupada here saying that that one appears that Krishna is talking to Arjuna? He is giving his point of view by the look of it, or something like that.
I know it sounds more like a purport, doesn't it, than a translation.
Yeah.
Brahma Jigyasa. I don't know why. I mean, there's this, but they could have done a really cool between the first and second, edition, having everything, that we're been doing in it, explaining it all in one place.
Well, I don't think they have a good aim here.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
They wanted to make it better for scholars and academics, and that would be awesome. Hare Krishna, Niche 25. I wonder if that's Michael McNeish.
Yeah, the thing is, like, how come a guy that doesn't have any training in that wants to make this for scholars?
Mm-hmm.
How can you, like, janitor can make such a writing for a scholars?
Well, it would have been more like, yep, it is.
Because the scholars are, scholars are trained in that. They have to understand the minute details of how to compose things, understand the whole, details of it. But
yeah,
that's exactly what they do, And this guy doesn't have any training, but it's appearing like, oh, I can teach the scholars how to do it. Like, I don't think so. You can go so far with that, but not that arrogantly.
We didn't have a lot of books in my house growing up, but we had like a dictionary, So I used to read the dictionary.
Mm.
It was so much fun. Just like reading through it, you know. That's why my vocabulary, I know lots of different words.
Mhm.
And then we had a Cruden's Compact Concordance,
Mhm.
which is like a thematic organization of the Bible by themes. So you
Right.
can look up joy, and then it has all the verses that relate to joy. So then I would go through the Bible that way, as
Mhm.
well as I read it from, because we had the Bible, obviously. So I read the Bible front to back, and then I read it according to the concordance. And so I jumped in at different places according to themes. And then we had another book called The Lion Handbook to the Bible.
Okay, 15 more minutes.
Sure. So my point is that, you know, this idea that, oh, you know, who would want to read a book, you know, that has like all of the changes from the first to the second edition with the annotations and everything? It's like, me? Like I literally grew up reading scripture in that way. So for me, it's like as soon as I found out that there was this first and second edition and, you know, that the changes were like quite wide in their scope, it's like for me, you know, that's why we have like go through it and examine it in this way. To the verse itself, you know, I remember this verse in 2020. You know, the lockdowns, there was like a really long lockdown in Auckland and there were lockdown protests. And so we would go to those lockdown protests and do kirtan. There were marches down Queen Street and we would do kirtan, Harinam there. And then I got on to the stage to speak. There's a video of it online. And I created the pastime of Prahlad Maharaj and Nrsimhadev. It was in September, I think, of 2020.
Mhm.
But I was freaking out because at that point I was like, dude, I'm going to go on a list. I'm going to be sent to a camp. You know, there was like my conspiracy radar was on full power. And I had a sense of where everything was going to go, but I didn't know what the timing was. I was like, you know, are we going to go to the camp tomorrow or is that coming in weeks or months or years? Like, when is this going to happen? Other people were afraid of getting the virus and, you know, stay home because of the virus and everything. I was like, that's not the problem. You know, the most dangerous problem here is like totalitarianism. So anyway, I was like, okay, I've got to go and speak. I've got to go and preach vigorously. And at the same time, I was freaking out. And then I remembered this verse. This is what I was thinking of. Be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. Because I could see that, oh, it's an anxiety for gain and safety. I'm like anxious for my safety right now. So I just meditated on this verse. Be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, be established in the self. And then I went and spoke there.
Can we go to Srila Prabhupada's card?
Purport?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Srila Prabhupada's manuscript.
Oh, the manuscript, sure.
Yeah.
Which one are you looking at, the translation or the purport?
I don't know, maybe translation.
The Vedas mostly deal with the subject matter. Well, let's read it without those editing marks. The Vedas mostly deal in the subject matter on three modes of material nature, and Arjuna is advised herewith to become transcendental to such three modes of material nature. He is advised to be free from duality and also from all anxieties of gain and protection. I can see how the editor would have wanted to pull from another translation. Then they changed the word for word, yeah. All material activities are actions and reactions of the three modes of material nature. They're meant for fruitive results, which cause bondage in the material world. This hasn't been changed much from, part of the fifth Veda, namely Mahabharata.
I think I will find more solace in Srila Prabhupada's translation because his spirit is in there.
Mm-hmm.
I find it more powerful. how he put it things. Well, I guess the way we read, we have to read what Srila Prabhupada wrote is in the and more in the not in the sense, but in the spirit of being humble and listening what he's actually trying to tell us. Because he was concentrating, you know, right in middle of the night, 2 a.m, 3 a.m, he typed. And he was typing whatever Krishna was telling him to type. So it's like so strong and so powerful. It is like a direct connection from him, like he's a spirit. And I would rather have that connection with him by reading all of his typing, because this is his typing, right?
Yeah.
So he is hearing Krishna and he's channeling everything and typing it. Such a late night, such an early morning. How precious is that?
Yeah.
I think I will have more respect for this to by actually people are trying to like, I want to do whatever I want. I want to make it sound as a scholar for the scholars, but actually, you know, the meaning is changed. I don't know, it just changes everything.
I mean, what they've done here is they've made this one is closer to Prabhupada. The you know, so they've changed the word for word to make it closer to what Srila Prabhupada wrote here, because the first edition editor went away from that. So in the word for word, it's gone away from Srila Prabhupada's manuscript, and then in the second edition, they've taken it closer to Prabhupada's manuscript. So this edit is consistent with their claim that the editorial philosophy is closer to Prabhupada.
It's like saying, look, this rose we're going to genetically engineer it to make it look, you know, another flower as close as a rose. But you will never get there. Never. No matter how much grammatically beautifully you try to put it, you will never get close to that. It is just anything, you know, anything original that you're trying to change and make it look whatever, it will never get to that essence of that, of the original product. Be in an item, in a writing, or in a poem.
But what about this change here, though? Because here they've gone closer to Prabhupada. So the editor Hayagriva has, or Roy Ram has changed the word for word and put in the edited version not what Prabhupada wrote. And the point that's been made there is that this doesn't match the verse. This matches probably a different translation that we're going to use.
Different pains are opposites. So, well, be free from all dualities. So I guess the opposites, you know, that means dualities. Ever remaining in subject. Subject and goodness.
Yeah, nirdvandva, not two. Dva. And so nirdvandva in the second edition is library. Oh, I wonder what the what our stream quality is like. How's the stream quality, Mike, if you're still there? 245, right? 245. Nirdvandva, without duality. And here it says what? Free from the opposite, pains of opposites. Nitya-sattva-sthaḥ. Niryoga-kṣema. Niryoga-kṣema. Free from ideas of gain and protection. acquisition, gain, preservation, protection. Yeah. Gain and safety. Acquisition, preservation, gain and safety. Gain, protection. Yeah.
It is just different words for the same thing.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know.
Without duality, free from the pains of opposites.
It's just like the synonyms, they're applying different type of synonyms there.
Yeah, nitya-sattva-sthaḥ, in a pure state of spiritual existence, ever remaining in sattva, goodness. Yeah, it's interesting because this is the other argument is like, you don't know whether, well, Prabhupada didn't really, well, I don't know. We don't know. Yeah. I mean, but Prabhupada signed off on those things and then they've gone and changed it back to something else. Ideas of gain and protection, transcendental to the three modes of material nature instead of...
Well, deal with the subject of the three modes of material nature. What's the ideas? What did you say, ideas?
Here, ideas of gain and safety. It says, free from the thought of acquisition and preservation.
Is that only ideas that you get, or is actually a fact that you want to have protection and gains and protection?
Well,
it's not only idea, it's a fact.
In the verse, it's translated as anxieties for. Anxieties for gain and safety.
Yeah, anxieties for acquisition and preservation.
Yeah, free from the thought of acquisition and preservation. Yeah, there was really, there was, I don't think there was really a need to change that because, when I think about it, okay, you're going to make that change. And then if you're going to footnote it and then explain it or say this was previously that, I mean, this is a pretty major change to make to the book.
Look at there's so many scrabbles there. So many.
It reminds me, remember that pastime of the guy who said, oh no, this must have been an interpolation. It's yoga. What is it? Vahāmyaham. Changed it to Karomyaham.
Yeah.
And he wrote it out, and then Krishna and Balaram come and they got those red lines on them so it's pretty much the same thing, yeah. It's of course the argument is that, well, yeah, it's just different editing it after he's left. Yeah, it's just not the same thing. You can't say that it is.
Because the other guy, at least, he tried to use the words appropriate for that at that time, and Prabhupada was okay with that. But the guy, on top of what he already done, he already changed it again on the edited part.
Yeah, because Jayadvaita Swami doesn't agree with Hayagriva's editing, and he's like, I should be the editor, and I would do it like this.
I think this is more like a personal ego thing, like why he wants to be, why Hayagriva, I have to be me. It's more of like a selfish control freak and a person that is very insecure of himself. And if you look to this gentleman, what's his name?
Jayadvaita.
Look at his face. It's just, he's a bloody insecure guy.
This is turned
very
into
insecure.
Jayadvaita Swami bashing session.
Yeah, because, anything that you want to preserve as it is, you're just like, oh no, I'm going to cross it off and I'm going to put my own way, my own words, so I come closer to Srila Prabhupada. It's like, just stay in the mood of humbleness, read what Srila Prabhupada wrote, ask for permission to do any changes, any guidance from him, rather than just like, I am going to do that one. Because he wants to appear as very learned person. But in order for you to be confidently a learned person, you have to do this, like the most minimum thing. Why are you changing it? Just be very clear about it. You have more power of doing that than actually just pretending to be such a learned person and doing such a changes.
Yeah. I mean, I find myself agreeing a lot with Jayadvaita Swami's editorial sense, but I just find it inappropriate to apply it like this. It would have been a different story if he was the senior editor on the original edition and he did this editing. And I'm like, yeah, okay. But to take it afterwards and then to do that,
because the thing we need to look into here is, it's a sacred book. You cannot just go and do whatever you want and not even give one tiny little sentence why you change it. That is not okay, and that is not appropriate. That's not what, this is not what the scholars do.
mm-hmm.
Even for us, you know, in a university, if you are reading the original publisher's articles, and to write about it as close as what the person is saying, you must cite.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot change his words to appear like you are, you know, plagiarism will come up quickly.
Well, you know what they've done? I'll just pull in Mike's comment here. He's talking about Jayadvaita Swami. He says he does seem very egotistical. He gets offended rather than just humbly explaining himself. That's what I.
That is very true.
Yeah, I noticed that
because he is not he's not getting the bash from me only. He's getting from many people, and his way out. And this is very typical about very insecure, domineering,
personal,
controlling people, egotistical people, or mostly narcissistic people is. When you tell them, why did you change it? They will never answer to you. There is always something to get themselves out of it. So many devotees ask, why did you change that? Or don't talk to me anymore about it because I'm not in the GBC, you ask somebody else. So they divert instead of saying, you know, acting like a real man and say, look, I don't know if he likes this. To be like confronted by many devotees, why are you changing that? You know, all of that. He never come across and say, you know, I did this and because of this, let me go back and explain myself, even in a video, even in a recording, if he is not finding the time to type it.
He's done some, he's explained some.
Yeah, but the way he explained is, oh, what it was the last time we saw this video? It was something along the lines of, and nobody else will understand it.
I mean, those videos, like, I really like Spinal Tap, which is a mockumentary. Those videos are like a parody video, like a comedy, like a parody. Like, let's get like a, you know, yeah, it's like a parody, like a satire.
The thing is, like, many people, many devotees will think, like, especially when they are not thinking critically, and because the word hasn't been plagiarized or taken from them, they don't have this experience, obviously. And they're going to be, oh, you offending this person, or he's highly, what did they say the last time they come and say? He's highly elevated person. Highly elevated, like, how come a highly elevated person can do such a thing like this?
I don't
Just
think so.
do whatever he wants to do without any accountability. That's not a highly elevated person's characteristic or character. A highly elevated person does not want his character to be tainted by anything, therefore will come forward, put things straight, explain himself, and resolve the thing and move on. Very clear. But the videos we see are like, no, nobody else will understand it. So even if you look at the facial movement and the way he explains, like, who do you think you are?
Yeah, there's a fundamental conceptual shift, fundamentally, about what this book is. And that is that they are now that this is the BBT's book, not that this is Prabhupada's book.
No, Prabhupada is just a worker for the BBT, apparently, or BBTI.
Yeah.
And what was the other thing? The BBTI is protecting the BBT and the work of Srila Prabhupada. How can you say you're protecting the work of Srila Prabhupada when in the documents you have put it like Srila Prabhupada is just a worker? A worker for who? Which Swamis? Which people? He never been a worker for any of those rascals. And he coming with the pretext, he will be protecting the books of Srila Prabhupada, or don't offend Srila Prabhupada, or don't offend me. You know what? It is so clear. It's so obvious to me. Protection means do not touch it. Maintain it as it is. If anything you do, and you just be very clear about it, that is protection.
You imagine, see, this is one thing if this was like a draft. See, it's one thing to do, you know, like, okay, I've been given this and Prabhupada wants me to edit it and then we're going to publish it. It's another thing to take Srila Prabhupada's published book and then just go, this is wrong.
Exactly. Oh, I will get it closer to Srila Prabhupada. You know what? What's his name again? My gosh. This guy,
Jayadvaita Swami.
oh, this guy doesn't have a good, powerful energy to stick in my mind. Jaya Advaita. I don't know what is the meaning of that name either. I don't know what I was going to say. It just slipped out of my mind. What did you just say before?
Imagine taking this to Srila Prabhupada. You know, you take his book and then you're just like, oh, this is all wrong.
Oh, getting closer to Srila Prabhupada. He must understand there is nothing that can replicate what he is meaning to do, what he wrote. Nothing. Doesn't matter how hard you try for lifetimes, you will never. The only thing that will get it, like at least in the humble stage, like trying to explain what Srila Prabhupada, and the way you explain it is you do your own book and explain yourself about it. Do not touch, because original means original. There is no one second to that. No one can compare to that. Nothing can compare to that. It is just getting in your mind, Jayarwaita. Nothing, whatever words, the salad of words you organize to be closer to Srila Prabhupada, nothing will get there. What to expect when your soul is not humble is even worse. It's even worse. So right now, I imagine you're having a lot of backlashes. Fair enough. But guess what? You got yourself into this predicament. And then are you enjoying all of the egotistical changes, whatever was your intention? You will never enjoy something that you really wanted to enjoy. You know, I want to be like the great man and, you know, get it to Srila Prabhupada. You will never get that. Just get it in your mind. Not sure if anyone taught you in your childhood, anything original cannot be replicated. Original means original. Do your own work. In your own book, write your own book with whatever you're thinking. That's a little bit more original of yourself. That's a little bit more humble.
Yeah. I mean, this one is like new and improved. You know, like it says in the I think it's at the end. This one has a general index. And it also has this, a Sanskrit index. Sanskrit index before the general index. The author. Here it is, a note about the second edition. For the benefit of readers who have become familiar with the first edition of Bhagavad-gita as it is, a few words about this edition seem in order. Although in most respects the two editions are the same, the editors of the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust have gone back to the oldest manuscripts in their archives to make this second edition even more faithful to Srila Prabhupada's original work. That actually doesn't make sense.
More faithful.
To his original work, gone back to the oldest manuscripts. What?
Going back to the oldest manuscript. What that's supposed to mean that whatever Srila Prabhupada written and what we can see here is not the original one? There is something else? And they are working on something else? What else?
Bhagavad-gita as it is in 1967, 2 years after he came from India to America. The Macmillan Company published an abridged edition in 1968 and the first unabridged edition in 1972, the Mac 72, the famous Macmillan 72. The new American disciples who helped Srila Prabhupada ready the manuscript for publication struggled with several difficulties. This is my original Gita from 97.
Right.
Hmm?
Is that okay?
Those who transcribed his tape dictation sometimes found his heavily accented English hard to follow and his Sanskrit quotations strange to their ears. I never read. I must have read this, but I didn't pay much attention to it. The Sanskrit editors were hardly more than beginners in the language, so the English editors had to do their best with a manuscript spotted with gaps and phonetic approximations. Yet their effort to publish Srila Prabhupada's work was a success, and Bhagavad-gita as it is has become the standard edition for scholars and devotees around the world. For this second edition, however, Srila Prabhupada's disciples had the benefit of having worked with his books for the last 15 years. The English editors were familiar with his philosophy and language, and the Sanskrit editors were by now accomplished scholars. And now they were able to see their way through perplexities in the manuscript by consulting the same Sanskrit commentaries Srila Prabhupada consulted when writing Bhagavad-gita as it is. This is the part here where it's like, dude, this is not good.
Mm-hmm.
The result is a work of even greater richness and authenticity.
Oh my gosh.
The word-for-word Sanskrit-English equivalents now follow more closely the standard of Srila Prabhupada's other books and are therefore more clear and precise. In places, the translations, though already correct, have been revised to come closer to the original Sanskrit and to Srila Prabhupada's original dictation. In the Bhaktivedanta purports, many passages lost to the original edition have been restored to their places, and Sanskrit quotations whose sources were unnamed in the first edition now appear with full references to chapter and verse. That's kind of like, on one level and in one sense, it's kind of okay, but I think the problem is that this editor has inserted himself along with what he claims has been done there, you know? Like, okay, we restored missing pieces and fixed parts that those guys got wrong and everything, but he's done more than that.
Mm.
And he's done more than that without being straight about what he's doing. And that's why he doesn't answer those questions straight.
Yeah.
When they're like, why don't you explain all the changes? Oh, and it's like, because I made a whole lot of changes that I wanted to make,
Mm-hmm.
as well as the ones that I'm telling the devotees we're doing. So when he explains in detail the changes he's made, he always chooses the obvious ones, which people always say, well, you know, Srila Prabhupada said he wanted to change cattle raising to cow protection. Like, Prabhupada said that, you know, are you arguing against that? I'm not arguing against that. I'm arguing against this guy going to town on the book and doing whatever he wants.
Mm.
And then claiming that he's making it, you know, fixing the parts that got missed out or the mistakes that got made. But then he's doing more than that. He's doing a lot more than that. And he thinks that he's making it better. And that he has the wrong mentality. It's the wrong approach.
And then the way he explained himself in the readings, like more, what was the other part? More
greater richness and authenticity.
Yeah, greater richness and authenticity. What that's supposed to mean, the previous editors, with even the lack of the Sanskrit, they try with genuine thing and presenting this to Srila Prabhupada. He's saying, okay. He's saying, no, is dismissing that. And he's coming across as, I know better because whatever reason, and I make it more rich and, what was that?
Authentic.
Wrong. Absolutely wrong. There is no such a thing to make it authentic, because what you done, this is not authentic. This is not a real man's work. Because when you are authentic, what does it mean being probably he doesn't understand what does it mean being authentic. Authentic means that you present things as clear and your intentions is out there. If there is anything, you correct it. But you know what? He doesn't want to be he doesn't want to be answerable to that. He doesn't want to be accountable. And because of that, you're not authentic. And I can tell you in your face, you're not authentic. I don't know what is your understanding of authenticity, but you know what? It proves to me you're not authentic.
Mhm.
Obviously, many people they don't have that much understanding because it's not a language, it's not an understanding in their lives. Probably some people does, for sure, but not many people that understand what it exactly means to be authentic.
Well, let's have a look. But then forget about looking at dictionaries, man. Dictionaries are for newbies, amateurs. Etymology is where you go to really understand a word. Okay, authentic. It comes from mid-14th century, authentic, authoritative, duly authorized. It's more authentic, is it? It's more duly authorized than the first one? I don't think so. A sense now obsolete. From Old French, authentique, canonical. 13th century modern French authentique, and directly from medieval Latin authenticus, from Greek authentikos, original, genuine, principle, from authentes, one acting on one's own authority, from autos, this is what I was thinking, like author, autos, meaning self, plus hentes, doer or being. From Proto-Indo-European root sene, to accomplish or to achieve. The sense of real, entitled to acceptance as factual, was recorded from mid-14th century. Traditionally, in modern use, authentic implies that the contents of the thing in question correspond to the fact and are not fictitious, hence trustworthy, reliable, while genuine implies that the reputed author is the real one and that we have it as it left the author's hand, hence unadulterated. So it's not genuine. This is not always maintained. The distinction which the 18th century apologists attempted to establish between genuine and authentic does not agree well with the etymology of the latter word and is not now recognized. So authentic. So it means
authenticus.
authenticus, yeah. Well, it means here, so autos, self, and hentes, either doer or being, to accomplish or to achieve. So it literally means being yourself.
Yeah, being yourself.
Being yourself.
And then how can you be yourself authentic and genuine when you are not presenting things as they are and you explain yourself? Doesn't make sense to me.
Well, yeah, I mean, the claim that it's greater richness and authenticity.
That is something that really triggered me. It's like, nah, sorry, you don't understand what you're writing here. It is just like a flowery words here to sound like so cool. I read it. If I read this one, if I'm just a complete dummy, I was like, oh my gosh, rich and authentic.
I'll tell you what it is. They don't, it's not actually closer to Prabhupada that their claim that it's of greater richness and authenticity it's better than Prabhupada. That's the mentality behind it.
Yeah. It is so obvious. It is like, no sé cómo se llama en español.
Ned Kennedy says, oh, it's a distraction. He says, look up the etymology of Trump. It will astound you.
Okay.
We'll do that afterwards.
Yeah.
I know you were reaching for your point.
It's okay. You say your point.
Well, I was going to go back to my point before to see if I can prompt you again. So I was saying that it's not closer to Prabhupada. It's actually better than Prabhupada, pretending to be closer to Prabhupada. That's my hypothesis that I've developed from analyzing the edits. Is the mentality is that, yeah, it's like it's not actually more authentic to Prabhupada, because although in there they claim that the changes they're making take it closer to Prabhupada, like things that got missed out from what Prabhupada wrote, mistakes that they made in listening to Prabhupada, some of those things are in there, yes, but then there are other changes that are not that. that are better than the original book. It's the mentality is, I'll make this better than the original book. So it's more authentic. It's being more what? It's not being more of like Prabhupada's Bhagavad-gita. It is really Bhagavad-gita jazz it is. The Jayadvaita Swami Gita. It's his take on it. It's like when you listen to music and you hear the original track from the artist and then you hear a remix track that's based on the original. It's not the same track. It's a remix by deadmau5 or it's a remix by Skrillex or whatever. GJ Tiesto remix. This is a Jayadvaita Swami remix of Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita.
Exactly. So that one thing that you were bringing, the like singers, right? Like who is very well known and many people wants to recreate as close as her, but you will never get that energy, that vibe of that person ever, except for the original author, her or himself. Like Whitney Houston. So many people want to imitate Whitney Houston with the voice. So many. They try their best with the vocals, they try their best with their acting, and so to bring that love and passion or whatever in the singing. But I will never get as herself. Never. Doesn't matter how amazing your vocals you have. Get it too closer to her. You will never. It's just at it. Yeah.
But, to take Yuga Avatar, I'm going to be Yuga Avatar for a moment. It's not Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. It's Hayagriva. Hayagriva, the hippie, dope smoking, homosexual, thought that they went to the moon guy. He did that.
He did that. Srila Prabhupada was okay with that. He gave the okay for that.
Yeah, I know. It just comes down to I know better than Prabhupada. It's like even that argument. It's like an attempt to, like there's this approach now, like in Contea's book of the way of like explaining Prabhupada in terms of Prabhupada's mind, and that's how Rochana he argues against the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita because the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita says that Prabhupada's thinking this or thinking that or feeling this or feeling that. It speculates about his internal mental states.
I will be extremely careful to say such a thing. Oh, Srila Prabhupada was feeling this, or Srila Prabhupada was thinking like that. Like, excuse me? Were you some sort of like second spirit living in the body of Srila Prabhupada? No.
Yeah.
Such an assertion for such a thing. It's like, no, just get out of here. Out.
So the idea that, Hayagriva, should replace him, it's like, nobody told you to, Prabhupada didn't tell you to take that service off him.
Yeah.
Oh, but, we can do a better job than, it's like, I can see that Prabhupada would not be pleased with that. He'd just be like, suddenly you've become more than the spiritual master? That you're going to come up with that? And they really have. And that's the biggest problem with it is that mentality itself.
But not only him. There's many in the circle that are like that. I can be better than Srila Prabhupada and do things in a different way, but I am better than Srila Prabhupada. And just because his body has ended 50 years ago, they think they have the authority. No, they have the arrogance, I have to say. They have the arrogance to say, I am better than Srila Prabhupada. I was thinking like him. I know how he was thinking. I know how he was feeling. Therefore, I can say whatever I want. Srila Prabhupada is there. I can do translations as I please. And it's going to be the most authentic and rich whatever Bhagavad-gita. And it's Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad-gita. Actually, it's not. It is this guy, Jayadvaita's book. And who is facilitating to all of that is all of the GBC at that time and right now, in the present.
So, when Prabhupada came to the West, he was 69 years old. If you were initiated in 1966, 100 minus 66 plus 23 is 57 years. So of Prabhupada's disciples, the longest that they've been initiated is 57 years. So they're not even as old, in terms of their devotional career as Srila Prabhupada was when he came over. So, and this is like, he's just in a class of his own. Like, so many people, were senior to him in terms of years, service rendered, all those kind of things. I was thinking about it today, like, we're going to a wedding tomorrow. And it's taken a while, for this wedding to get put together, and now it's happening and it's amazing. And then I was thinking about the speed at which we got married. And to get to success faster, you got to go through a certain amount of failure to get there. And so you might as well fail as fast as you can, rather than just like waiting a long time, right? So I was thinking about that, and I was thinking along those lines, and then I remembered something that Srila Prabhupada said. Because someone said to him, I think it was, I don't know, I can't remember who it was, but anyway, he was asked, why did you come to America? And you know what he said?
Because my Guru Maharaj told me.
No, this is what he said. He said, my godbrothers had already gone to London and failed preaching there, so I figured I should fail in a different place. He said someone had already gone and failed in England, so I thought I might as well fail in America. Yeah, it's unattached to success or failure, but just like attached to the service and praying intently along the way. I wouldn't touch it personally.
No,
the way that it's been done there, I wouldn't think myself to be that great that I could do it. And then it's kind of like, oh yeah, but this devotee, he's like, it's kind of like at a certain point. Well, okay, I got two arguments against that. Because people are like, well, how would you know because he's so elevated and you're not? Well, I got two things about that. The first one is that,
what does it mean to be elevated anyways?
well, no, here's two things. The first one is that,
tell me the symptoms of elevated person. Duh, they cannot. Sorry. I'm sorry. Srila Prabhupada can say he's elevated because I see his work, I see his life, how everything happened and evolved to the time he departed. And I can say what he created, what he's done on his age, at that time, so quickly. He has to be absolutely powerful, out of this world. Tell me what man in this world, I bet not even the Swamis can compare to that. At 69 years of age is typing whatever Srila Krishna is instructing him to do. He's organizing, he's managing, he's leader. He's a manager, he's a leader, he's a kirtaniya, he's a cook, he's a typer, he's a preacher. He's doing so many things. And because of that, you can see his life in whatever years he was with us in this world, at their age. That is an elevated person. I can hardly stay myself after 3 hours of sleep. I can hardly think properly. And Srila Prabhupada did that. That is elevated. You can tell me you are elevated by what you produce, not for what you say. Everyone can say anything because people are in such a delusion. People are delusional.
Well, in that case, they'll say that I'm going to be Yuga Avatar again. The second edition of Bhagavad-gita has made so many devotees in terms of being elevated, in terms of what they produce. So in terms of it's made so many devotees.
so many devotees, but guess what? Everyone is individualistic now. There are few people getting together. But anyways, yes, can that one is that. Also, Krishna himself will speak through the books. They are not the correct way and all of that. But Krishna has the power because the energy of Srila Prabhupada still exists here. No matter how hard it would be, these people will try to taint Srila Prabhupada's work, minimize him, no matter how hard. And in conjunctions, maybe 3 or 5 or 6, 10 people or 20 people, whatever Swamis, leaving, probably they're going to depart very soon, which will be great.
I have to see that thing where it says that Prabhupada was a worker for hire. Like, I have to see the primary source of that.
Somebody shared a document when they went to, they have some sort of legal thing. I saw the document, I read it where it says worker for hire. I seen myself, but I just didn't save the document thinking that I'm going to go back to read it. I will look into that, but I know many people posted about it.
Yeah, okay, we'll have to see, because I remember seeing one that said that the BBT was a worker for hire. The BBT editors of the 2nd edition. Anyway, we'll have to check.
And because of that, so many devotees are very upset about it. What kind of insult is this? Srila Prabhupada was a worker for hire. Like, who is that?
We've got some more comments.
Okay.
Ned Kelly says, Haribol, it's been wonderful to converse with like-minded spirit souls. If only you knew about dog Latin, as this is where all the ISKCON fraud started.
What is the dog Latin?
Dog Latin. If I got this one right, it's like words written in all caps that sound like it's definitely a conspiracy theory, dog Latin. It's like all caps words. Yeah.
Basically, people are all worse these days. Such few people that are very authentic and legit.
Let's have a look. Dog Latin. A phrase or jargon that imitates Latin, often by translating English words or declining them as if they were Latin words. Dog Latin is usually a humorous device mocking scholarly seriousness. It can also mean poor quality attempt at writing genuine Latin. Like that lorem ipsum. You know lorem ipsum? You haven't seen that lorem ipsum? It's this massive bunch of text which kind of looks like Latin, but it's not, and it's just used for filling in placeholder text, dummy text of the printing and typesetting industry. But when I was learning Spanish, the way I would do it is like, if I needed to say something in Spanish, I would just choose the most Latin word in English. Like if I wanted to say genuine, I'd either say genuino or I'd say auténtico. You just like, and then you pronounce it like Spanish. And then instead of like authentic, if it ends in a C, you make it CO.
Auténtico.
Auténtico, yeah. So it was actually easy to translate my vocabulary. Like people like, oh, how do I say something? And in English, you got like, you could say genuine, authentic, original. And out of those, authentic is obviously because you got like author, authority, and like to go from authority to Spanish, you just change the ITY to IDAD, autoridad. It's easy. Speaking Spanish is quite easy because you take the Latin parts of your English vocabulary and there's a few transformation rules and then it's the same language.
Yeah.
Principal.
Genuine. Anyways, yeah.
Back to the verse. Anyway, that was more than 25 minutes, but I'll tell you what, you got super triggered by seeing that.
Yeah.
It was when you looked at that you just went off your nut.
You know what? When I went going nuts, you see how they, what do you call this one with the white dish thing? Corrector? It's like, what are they correcting here? What are they hiding here? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, things when people pretend to be, or when they hide things, that really triggers me. It is just my nature. My nature is like, say things as they are. No, tomorrow.
I'm not going to open it now.
Okay.
I'm going to open it tomorrow. No, Saturday. You know, the thing is that they don't watch that. You know that Isabella and Prolo, they don't watch these things. We could open it now and they wouldn't even know.
Mhm.
But we should open it at the start. So
Not
more
today.
people see it. Yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah. Anyways,
What's in the box?
original things.
Original things. Really?
Maybe. I don't know. It's just fragile. Maybe a man is inside the box.
Okay, back to the verse.
There is a man in the box because it says fragile.
Oopsies.
You see?
Fragile.
There is a guy inside.
Yeah, guy. When you ask him how many changes have you made, what are the why haven't you explained all the changes? He freaks out. Trai-guṇya-viṣayā vedā nistrai-guṇyo bhavārjuna nirddvandvo nitya-sattva-stho niryoga-kṣema ātmavān.
Okay. I like Srila Prabhupada's. The Vedas mainly deal with the subject of the three modes of material nature. Rise above those modes, O Arjuna. Be transcendental to all of them. Be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. What was the other one?
Another one, what?
Oh, Srila Prabhupada's?
Srila Prabhupada's one.
Something like acquisition, right?
No, that's the word for word. That's not Prabhupada's word for word. Srila Prabhupada said, the Vedas mostly deal with the subject. No, let's read it without the editor marks. The Vedas mostly deal in the subject matter on three modes of material nature. And Arjuna is advised herewith to become transcendental to such three modes of material nature. He is advised to be free from duality and also from all anxieties of gain and protection.
He says himself says gains and protections. Okay, I will go with that.
Yeah, so you see here it says carefree from ideas of gain and protection, which became
be
free from the thought of acquisition and preservation, which then became free from ideas of gain and protection. Carefree from ideas of gain and protection. So the care got dropped. Free from ideas of gain and protection. Free from ideas
free
of gain
from
and protection.
ideas. Well, I don't know if it's an idea. Sorry, it just triggers me that part as well. Ideas, like,
Well, that's what Srila Prabhupada wrote. Yeah.
No comments.
Okay.
The boss said that. It has to be that. Okay. Anyways.
Ned Kelly's back with the dog Latin. Definition and legal meaning, definition and citations, the Latin of illiterate persons. Latin words put together on the English grammatical system.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure what that means.
It means something.
I guess so, yeah.
Anyways.
Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, total world victory of Hare Krishna. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, Ned Kelly, for tuning in.
Yeah, if you've got some more links to the dog Latin stuff, drop them into the comments and we'll check them out later.
And Michael McNeish as well for tuning in.
Yeah.
It's great to have you guys online and for your contribution. Thank you.
Keep it original. Hare Krishna.
Nothing like original.